electronic attendance.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to approve the remote electronic attendance of 2nd Ward Alderman David Parker, 3rd Ward Alderman Mike Wendt, 6th Ward Alderman Kevin Schoonmaker, Alderman at Large Sonia Berg at the Committee of the Whole and City Council meetings of October 27, 2020.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Moyer, a second by Alderman Waldron. Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg.
Alderman Berg, I believe you're.
Aye.
I'm sorry,
Can you hear
Alderman
me?
Williams.
Yep.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Wendt.
Aye.
Potter.
Aye.
Moyer.
Aye.
Schoonmaker.
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a proclamation. Janine, would you read the proclamation, please? And KJ Whitley
Certainly.
will be joining me at the podium.
This proclamation is from KJ Whitley, Community Development Program Manager. Whereas lead exposure to children can result from multiple sources and can cause irreversible and lifelong health effects. Whereas more than 7,000 children of the 229,000 tested in the state of Illinois in 2017 had blood levels at the public health intervention level recommended by Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. Whereas lead is especially dangerous to children under the age of 6. Whereas there are simple steps that can be taken to protect all family members from lead-based paint hazards in the home. Now therefore, Stephanie Acree, Mayor of Moline, does hereby proclaim October 25th through the 31st, 2020 as National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week.
I want to thank KJ and the entire Moline team for working on this important initiative year after year. And I'd like for KJ, could you address the council and tell them a little bit about what you're working on this year specifically?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for recognizing this most important childhood tragedy if your child is lead poisoned. Typically, children under the age of 6 like the taste of lead because it tastes like candy. It's sweet. So in the summertime, when you go to raise your window and the dust comes out and it hits the windowsill and it hits the ground, kids are crawling on the floor, playing with their toys in the windowsill. That's how they have the hand-to-mouth movement in getting lead in their system. And then they feel the effects of it. The city of Moline's been very fortunate. This is our 3rd lead grant that we have. This time we're with Silvis, Rock Island, and East Moline. We hope to do 151 units. Of course, COVID has slowed us down a little, but we're still running down the track. When we were awarded the grant, that's when the government shut down. So we had a delay there. Then we got started up with the grant and then COVID hit. So we're trying to bounce back. We're trying to do more units. But this is such an important thing to keep children lead safe. So we go in the homes and we have a gun that looks like an XRF gun that a police officer uses. And we put it up to the wall, we can tell you if there's lead paint behind it. Well, most houses that were built before 1978 has that lead paint in there. But the difference is it a hazard? Is that door handle hitting the wall and causing that friction and the chips are falling to the ground? Then it's a hazard. Are the windows old? And when they are raised, it's bringing that lead down, then it's a hazard. Typically, if you have vinyl windows, you don't have lead in your house, at least not in the windows. But pretty much every house built before 78 has a touch of lead. So we like to go in there and we like to make the units of lead safe. Again, we're working in the 4 cities. We're moving along. We just had lead training here for 12 people who want to become contractors. And we're trying to move them forward because we definitely need more contractors in our area. But again, thank you guys for your time and your dedication in supporting the cause here, allowing us to apply for these grants and receive the grants and work with other city staff and work with other cities on these grants as a coalition. Thank you.
Thank you, KJ. Now we're moving into the questions on the agenda. We do have one correction. If you note on the the first informational item, it references CARES funding. It actually is CURES funding with the U. Are there any other questions on the agenda this evening? Hearing none, we're going to move into our agenda items. The first item is exception to moratorium on hiring utilities. Tony Lodi will be presenting this evening. Tony?
Good evening, Mayor. This resolution authorizes an exception to the hiring moratorium. And specifically, we're looking to fill 3 positions: water plant manager, utilities laboratory technician, and water distribution mechanic. There's a 4th position listed on the agenda item, and we'll return to you at some point in the future to seek authorization for that position. But at this point, staff seeks approval or authorization to fill these 3 positions, and we recommend approval for this.
Move to approve Went.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Went to approve. We have a second by Alderman Waldron. Are there any questions for Tony this evening? Alderman Potter.
I believe there are 2 lab tech openings there. Why aren't we filling both of them?
Alderman, I'd prefer to wait and fill the second lab technician after the first position is filled. We expect some internal transfers to occur, and I think strategically waiting on this to some point in the future would be preferable.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Waldron.
Tony, by waiting, is it costing us overtime?
No.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Tony, could I verify that will this be an internal transition, or does that happen first and then we go to the outside? How does that work?
I'm going to recommend for 2 of these positions to post internally. The 3rd will likely post both internal and external.
What is that position?
The water plant manager.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Your Honor.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Is it Alderman Went? I can't.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to, I had a chance to speak with Tony, and I appreciate you indulging the emails back and forth. I really appreciate your input and your diligence as you go through this. You are being very precise and forward-thinking and thinking 3-dimensional when it comes to these things. So I really appreciate your leadership in your department, and thank you for bringing this forward, and I look forward to supporting it.
Thank you, Alderman Went. Alderman Went, did you know your video is off? Is that intentional?
I did not know that. Thank you.
I just can't see you. I suspected you were raising your hand and I couldn't see it because I didn't see the video. But thank you.
No worries. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions before we go? Alderman Moyer.
Just out of curiosity, if 2 of those positions are filled internally, then would this also authorize the hiring of the 2 people who replace? Obviously, there would be 2 positions that would then become vacant.
I'm assuming that would be a secondary request. Is that correct, Tony? If there's a vacancy that comes about because of this hire?
I would, that would be my recommendation. I would defer to the city administrator on that.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Went.
Aye.
Potter.
Aye.
Moyer.
Aye.
Schoonmaker.
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
No nays.
That motion carries. Thank you, Tony. The next item is an exception to the moratorium on hiring within the fire department. Chief Schneider.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council, I stand before you this evening to request an exception to the moratorium on hiring and grant me the authority to request the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners to extend offers of employment to the 2 highest qualified candidates on the eligibility register once it is certified. The estimated date for certification is December 8th. It is anticipated to take approximately 4 to 6 weeks to complete the background checks, conduct the required psychological as well as physical exams, and receive the results of the exams. Therefore, we would expect to onboard the new employees in mid to late January. Furthermore, we would then secure training spots if needed, in the next Basic Operations Firefighter Academy at the Illinois Fire Service Institute, slated to begin in early March of '21. Thank you for your consideration of this request, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Potter, a second by Alderman Moyer. Are there any questions on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. Thank you, Chief. The next item is amending Chapter 35 of the Moline Code of Ordinances regarding fences. Chris Mathias will be addressing this issue.
Thank you, Your Honor. As I'm sure you're aware, the city council had goals for the plan commission this year, and one of those goals, one of those ideas to check out was fences, and we've already passed here at the council a prohibition on chain link fences in the front yard, for example. So as part of that discussion, a staff realization and issue that we had in Alderman Moyer's ward of fences taller than 6 feet being erected, and in this case, somebody had put up basically a 10-foot tall piece of fence to block a view of a neighbor. So we wanted to amend our code through the plan commission. We had this public hearing, and at the August 12th plan commission meeting, they passed this code change, which would limit fences in residential yards to 6 feet. Of course, this still doesn't do away with the limitations we have on a fence in the front yard, which is limited to 42 inches, but this would make a fence no taller than 6 feet on a residential lot. So the staff recommendation here would be to concur with the plan commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Moyer and a second by Alderman Williams. Is there any discussion on this item?
Your Honor.
Alderman Went?
I'm in support of this, but I guess, and I apologize, and I talked with Chris Mathias about this earlier. He mentioned what we passed earlier regarding chain link fences in residential neighborhoods, and there was some discussion on the issue with utilities being exempt in it, and we had asked the Plan Commission to look at it, and so I guess asking the mayor, would it be more appropriate at the end of the council meeting if I wanted to make a direction for staff to come back with an ordinance, or do it after this? We vote on this.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, would be more.
Do you see them as separate issues? Because I think it could be separate issues.
I think they're separate issues, so that's why I don't want to. I mean, it's within the fence ordinance or whatever, but so I don't want to make this complex. Maybe I'll just wait till the end of the council meeting and do it then. Sorry.
Well, we're within the topic. Let's take a vote on this, and since Chris is here, we can talk through the second one, okay? Is there any comments on this tall fence issue? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Could you say aye? Oh, good.
Aye.
Thank you.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. Alderman Went, did you want to address your other issue?
Sure, thank you. So one of the things we had done was we had asked the Plan Commission to review an issue regarding utilities being exempt from the chain link fence, because that was not part of the amendment that was brought to us. It's gone back, it's been discussed a few times, but in the interim, there's been a utility company that has come and made an application and gotten it approved, and we've got a chain link fence around another utility. And so what I'd like to do is move to direct staff to come back to our next council meeting with an ordinance to remove the exemption for utilities under section 35-5209, and to add a requirement that current utilities with a chain link fence remove it within the next 10 years to adhere to our code. And if necessary, to add an exemption for city and school-owned properties.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second, Parker.
We have a second by Alderman Parker. Is there any discussion on that? Chris, would you like to address it?
Yeah, just a point of clarification, Your Honor. So in this example of the utility that came in, this is MetroNet off of 7th Street, and they're, just to be clear, the exemption we're talking about would be for a chain link in the front yard. So if a utility was to come in and be outside of the front setback, you know what I mean, you'd still be able to use a chain link as long as you weren't in the front yard. And that's what that exemption is for chain links in the front yard or that are visible from that city street, I believe, if we look at that language. So I just want to get some clarity on that.
Alderman Went?
But wouldn't for all of these utilities, the chain link in front of it by definition be in the front yard because they're not behind somebody's house? They usually take up a lot themselves.
I think you'd want to clarify if it's the front setback itself, like the required front yard, the 25 feet or whatever district they're in, or if you're talking about just the, so that to me is where that's where that chain link restriction is for fences that are in the front yard or are visible. I believe if you look at the code, it's visible from the street or in the front yard. So that'd be, I think, the exemption that we're talking about. We can clarify that with the language we bring back next time for you and then debate it then.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd appreciate it. I just don't see many situations where it's, I mean, if it's a fence back behind a business or something, I'm not that concerned about it, but I'm concerned about like the one that's up by the old Garfield School where there's the fence there, or down on 52nd where it's around that place, and as you're driving by, you've got chain link fence and sometimes weeds and all sorts of stuff that around those utilities. I want it to apply to those places.
But that's the guidance I needed, so thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Alderman Parker?
Yes, although I'm in favor of this, I'm also interested in learning from the utilities. Do they want to have it so that their facilities are to deter people going in and
Alderman Parker, your audio is cutting out a little bit, so could you start your statement over, please?
He's
We
muted.
still can't hear you, Alderman.
can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yep.
Perfect. That's the way we like it. So, Mike, although I support this, I guess I'm interested in the why behind why they would want to have a chain link fence. Is it for safety reasons, to keep people out? And if somebody's in there, that it can be seen easily from the street and not behind a closed fence. At this point, I'm supportive of it unless there's compelling reasons that they need to have it exposed. And is there a workaround on that too? Is my question.
Alderman,
So, Chris, if you could check into that, I'd appreciate it.
Alderman Parker, I think that you could still have a fence that's not a privacy fence. So there are other fencing options other than chain link that maybe could meet that expectation and still prevent or meet that argument.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderman Went.
Yeah, and I believe, Chris, correct me, but I thought you had done that research, and Mid-American came back and said, yeah, they can, moving into the future, they have those cement board slats and stuff, and that they do that in a lot of installations. So it didn't sound like it was an issue of privacy or security. Is that what they had communicated to you, Chris?
Yes, I believe it's a concrete wall panel type fence. Alderman Went.
Anyone else?
Mayor, can I get some clarification? I
Certainly.
captured the motion with the exception of that last part about schools. What was that?
Oh, I think that he's open to the recommendation by the planning commission to exempt schools and government properties.
Thank
from
you.
having that chain link restriction. Is that correct, Alderman Went?
Yes, it is. We didn't want a situation in which, a few of our parks still have chain links around it where they would then be in violation. So we wanted to have that exemption there.
Anything else? Let's do a roll call.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Alderman Schoonmaker, oh,
Aye, sorry.
thank you.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. Thank you very much, Chris. The next item is item number 4, Midland Davis contract for storm debris collection. Rod Schick.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. An RFP was issued and publicized to have all of our storm debris that's collected currently in 4 park locations ground into mulch, and then we'll be making that mulch available free to the public. We received 2 proposals, one from Miller Trucking and Excavating, and one from Midland Davis Corporation. Midland Davis submitted the lowest and most responsible and responsive proposal in the amount of $22,985, and staff would recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Moyer, a second by Alderman Potter. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Waldron.
Rod, I see the approximate cost is $22,985. Where are we funding that from?
I will defer to
Rod, Marty.
It'll come out of the general fund, but which line item, I can't tell you.
Thank you.
Alderman Schoonmaker. Alderman Schoonmaker, you may still be on mute.
A lot of times when we get bids, we see the other bids. It's not showing up here. What was Miller's bid on this?
The Miller's bid was $40,000.
Thank you.
Any
Do
other questions?
we expect to, I'm certain not all of that mulch is going to be picked up for free by the residents. And I know we're going to use some of it ourselves. Do we expect to take the additional contract step of having them haul it away at $7 a yard, or what do we expect to do with the extra?
I think it'll depend on how much is left. We actually have that proposal for $7 a cubic yard is if they load it themselves and haul it away. One of the other options that they threw to us is if we load them, and that price is actually $2.50 per cubic yard if we load them. So I think we'll have to look at it and see how much is there. If it's just a tiny amount, if we can get it in our own trucks in a few loads, we can dispose of it ourselves. Obviously, if it's significant, we would look at that and bring that back to the city administrator for direction on what we wanted to do.
So that would be let as a separate bid in the future if we decide to do that.
It's
Is that what you're saying?
within that proposal, yes.
So we already have pricing on that. So Rod, when you say it's 22,000, I think that's what you said.
$22,985 to grind it all up completely.
Okay, but none of that is hauling.
Correct.
That's for grind only.
Correct.
They gave us a price on hauling,
Correct.
and so we can execute on that price. We don't have to go out again for bid.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. Are you comfortable with that, Alderman Schoonmaker?
Sure.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter, Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. The next item will be presented by Dirk Price. It is Miller Trucking and Excavating Contract for Leaf Pickup Services.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. So as we talked about, we did a RFP. We weren't able to secure any bids in response to the RFP, mostly because the information was too uncertain. So with your permission, I went out and did the negotiated proposal. And we got proposals at the end of the day, only really from Miller Trucking that made any kind of sense. And this is the contract we brought back. To be clear, this is doing the western third of the city. It's the 3-crew route. The city has always divided it up into 1 3-crew route and 2 2-crew routes. So this is the most labor intensive of all of the 3 routes, 3 sets of routes, I should say. We've made it clear that the city can at any time say, equipment's not available to be used here. and because whether it's for snow plowing or other things, or their own routes that need to be done, whether there's out of commission. So, and Miller's excused from performing them, but the city has complete control of all of its equipment. You've got the time here, and it's also, it helps backstop us because we have a full union house then available to pull on in case any of our full-time employees within the department are sick or quarantining or having to be away. We have a ready supply through Miller then of backup forces. And we recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Moyer, a second by Alderman Williams. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Waldron.
Dirk, is the only reason we're doing this is for the quarantine backup?
No, we're also, in terms of trying to get all the forces needed, Public Works has made it clear that we don't have sufficient forces at the moment to do all of it in a timely fashion. Just like with the storm debris removal, we were behind. It was only when the cavalry came in, both from IDOT and from a contracted provider, that we were able to catch up and move ahead and get that done.
Alderman Waldron.
I think, and this is more of a comment than a question, Dirk, I do think that speaks to us being undermanned, and we're not able to provide the level of service that we normally do. And this goes back to my concern that we need to start hiring employees back sooner than we have, and I will not be voting for this motion. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Alderman Wendt.
Just for clarification, because if someone's to vote against this, what would be the alternative with the manpower that we have right now to be able to pick up leaves in the city?
Well, my understanding is that it would be slow. We wouldn't be able to get all of it done in the time frame set for the city to have it done.
Thank you.
My understanding from, and Rod can jump in, or if he's still here, my understanding was that he was 3 full-time employees short and 12 seasonals short to get it done. So that's what he was looking for. I think that's right, Marty?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and again, this is an RFP, the negotiated proposal process, and it's called sole source, and I know some people have had some heartburn about that, and I want to talk about that sole source process for a second. It's in your code of ordinances to do it this way, because the legislative process, first of all, gives you complete control over purchasing with very small exceptions, and then those small exceptions are overridden by your home rule powers. And while it's rare, your code says it should be rare, there are situations like this where, because of the confluence of COVID, unfilled positions, and the demand to do the service, you use this process to do it. We've used it other places. The library, for example, has used it for the cafe in the past. They've sole sourced it and they've not done it. Now, this time they went out for an RFP because they committed to you 3 years ago to do that. But as I reminded them when I had a conversation with them, that's their decision. They don't have to do it. They have the same RFP process or negotiated proposal process. It's their pick. And they lived up to their commitment to you to go out for the cafe this time. And so that's why we're using this. We tried the RFP process. We didn't get satisfactory answers that made sense, and that's how we ended up.
Alderman Wendt.
So with the statement that if we didn't do this, that we would have to hire 3 full-time people back plus the 12 seasonals to be able to do it in-house. Is that right? Or would we have to then hire more full-time people back to get to a level that we could then even hire 1 seasonal person?
That's actually correct. The 3 and 12 was what I understood Rod needed for this task. But to get to seasonals at all, are we 11 short?
Yes, I think close to.
I think it's 11 that we're short. So under the AFSCME contract, there's a minimum staffing before you can hire seasonals. And that's why they have filed formal grievances with us. In contracting for like the storm debris and other things, they've told us that we should have to hire all 11 full-time people plus then the seasonals to go with this.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Nay.
7 ayes, 1 nay.
That motion carries. The next item is also presented by Dirk. It is amending Chapter 8 of the Moline Code of Ordinances, crime-free housing rental program timeline.
As I discussed in the last couple of meetings, the confluence of COVID, meeting size, the ability to meet in person, plus how we bill the landlords in our community under the permit program for multifamily or greater than single-family housing has led us to revise the calendar from what Chief Galt and I thought it was originally. And so this is that record-keeping piece to amend the Code of Ordinances to get everybody on board. We're still requiring everybody to get the thing done, but instead of a rolling process as we anticipated, the renewals all at once, and now we're recognizing that time difference.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Moyer, a second by Alderman Potter. Are there any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. One more for Dirk, amending Chapter 4 of the Moline Code of Ordinances.
This is a housekeeping ordinance, cleaning up a few things in the liquor code. I always find it hard to believe that my words weren't precisely understood by everybody when I wrote them, but apparently that's the case. There was some confusion around the minimum purchasing, that the whole point was the minimum of $5 to try and end some deleterious effects from the small ability to purchase $1 at a time kind of thing. But people applied that within the class, so that it wasn't sufficient. In one case, we had a gentleman who bought almost $10 worth of alcohol, but was denied because he only had one beer, and therefore
We had one beer and other alcohol.
Right, other alcohol, more than $10, but the register had a computer program reflecting this ordinance, they said, that was phrased. So to solve that problem, that we're cleaning that up, and I want to thank Alderman Moyer for his assistance in getting that, because he sort of understood from the retailers what their problem was. Then, since we were cleaning up the liquor code, I worked with Madam Clerk on a couple of other problematic things that have gone on. One, for the businesses, and all as part of the Forward platform, we've made it so they don't have to pay to get a duplicate license, they can get it online. So that's a service you created for them, and so we eliminated that. And then we had a couple other housekeeping things that, some old code sections that the mayor found that we don't no longer use. One of those referred to in the email exchange with Alderman Moyer was the stealth packaging, where it all had to be in a secret paper bag. We don't require that anymore. It's all by Illinois law, so this is just a housekeeping thing, cleaning up the liquor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Potter has the motion. Alderman Moyer has a second. Alderman Went.
So I'm glad that we're cleaning this up if there was any confusion on it. With the $5 minimum purchase, is that just of alcohol, or if somebody was buying $70 worth of groceries and then buying $4 worth of liquor, would they then have to buy $5 worth of liquor, or is the $70 worth of groceries that they're checking out with enough?
No, it's $5 of alcohol.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. Thank you, Dirk. We do not have an other this evening, so we're going to move into our informationals. The first informational item is CURES funding authorization for the mobile trailer. Chief Galt.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
working? I'm doing something wrong.
Is it on?
Second. Stand by to stand by.
It is not working.
That's okay, we can't see it either.
I'm having technical difficulties. Shocking. It's broken.
Can you toggle through for us, David?
Yeah, I can just, there,
Oh, he's got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
All right. Can the folks that are
yes.
connecting remotely see the slides?
We can see the agenda right now. There we go.
All right.
Now we,
So I'm coming back to give you an update on the proposal that the mayor brought forth in July to use CURES funding for a mobile office. And I sheepishly come before you to ask for some more money. What I thought would be a really easy thing to accomplish. COVID has reared its ugly head and made this a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. So on the outset, I apologize for that. But this, as you know, is a collaborative effort between the police department, the school district, and social services to try to do community outreach to connect with our populations and vulnerable populations in need for us to get to them, both in these times of the pandemic and the subsequent things that COVID has done to our community so that we can connect better with them. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview. The mayor had gained your consensus to spend $70,000 of our CURES Act funding, and I'm here to ask for you to consider somewhere between 70 and 110, and I'll show you those three options and why I'm requesting some additional funding. So just to kind of give you a background, the mission was to obtain a mobile office trailer for use by the police department to do this community outreach and partner with the Moline School District and our social workers. And we got that authorization in July. So after that, we formed a team with the police department, Public Works, and fleet manager, the Moline School District, and Center for Youth and Family Solutions, and they sat down and put their heads together to design this trailer to see what we would need to get out of the community and accomplish this mission and everyone's individual tasks that they want to do out of this mobile trailer. We put that out for bid, which closed on September 30th, and Attorney Price came before you October 6th and told you that we received one bid from Featherlight and the dealer Rotor Brothers, but it failed some of the legal requirements, and he asked your permission to enter into a negotiated proposal, and that's where we're at today. The COVID pandemic has really reared its ugly head here. The trailer needs to have adequate space, entry and exits, multifunctional workspace so that we could have private counseling for either a school worker or a social worker to be separate. Movable desks, we talked about that, is to be able to configure into different things, whether we're doing community outreach, or we're doing schoolwork, we're doing tutoring, things of that nature. Adequate lighting and power and cabling. Then I ran into the ADA accessibility issue, which we discovered about 2 weeks ago. I went up to meet the manufacturer, and I called Dirk and I said, hey, I need some help here. And he said, yes, we need to figure out a way to make this ADA accessible, because now the mission is to get people in the trailer, not just to have our police officers have like an office that they can work out of and then go deal with stuff and go back to the office. We're inviting the public in. And so with that, we need to have some ADA accessible things like ramps, grab handles, 60-inch turning radius for a wheelchair potentially, 48-inch wide doorways and smooth thresholds and special flooring. So my head was kind of spinning there, but the manufacturer's like, yeah, we can do this at a cost. And then the COVID impacts are also hitting us on the timeline that this is going to be available for us, and the demand that this has put on the prices and the RV industry. As you know, one of the most popular things to do in the pandemic was to camp, and the RV industry is really depleted in supplies, and this is a customized trailer. So it's increased the cost a little bit, it's increased our timeline,
COVID is really making this project a little bit more difficult. So the good thing is, even though I'm asking for some more money, it still fits into our COVID mission. Dirk has already presented you with some information that we'd be able to apply. There is some risk, but it's highly likely that it would meet that funding need. So we started off with a sketch. I'm going to tell you these sketches are a little bit inaccurate, and I'll tell you why. It's the bathroom. We have to move the bathroom for the ADA accessibility. But the team designed a sketch where we'd have an office space, would have a couple of doors there so people could be in private, and you can see these bump outs. They're slides. If you're familiar with the RV industry, the RV travels down the road in a rectangle box, and you park it. You can expand the slides, give you some more space. The slides are kind of important to us because it's going to give us some more room to maneuver with the ADA accessibility, be able to get some workflow in there, gives them some social distancing options. And then we've got some ovals in there which represent some couches or some seating, and rectangles for some desks. So we got this, and it turned into this. And so this is roughly what the design of the trailer would be like. The mayor was asking me for this and her partners with the artwork design. But some of this is going to change. We're going to change one of these 12-foot slides to 6-foot slides to minimize the cost to meet the budget, as well as the tables are going to be not going to be snap in. They're going to be movable on some wheels so that we can move and reconfigure. And then that bathroom that you can see there that's in the middle, and any of you that are familiar with the RV industry, that's pretty common. We're going to move that to the front, so there's really going to be 3 spaces. The front, we need to move that bathroom to the front so it can be bigger for that 60-inch turning radius. And then there's some engineers got involved, and they're like, well, weight distribution, all sorts of pulling things and some formulas. I was like, whoa, that's too much for me. I'm a police officer. So they had to reconfigure some engineering things for this. So with all that said, a lot of that went into this design with ramps and grab handles and space. And so this is pretty close to what it's going to look like. It's an 30-foot enclosed car trailer from Featherlight, very well-known manufacturer, high-quality product, aluminum construction, durable, 8-foot, 6-inch wide by 6-foot, 6-inch tall and 30 feet long. We'll modify the slides to 6 foot, and we need to move the bathroom. So we have 3 options. I can meet that $70,000 budget roughly at 72. The problem is that comes with no slides, no generator, and no furniture. So I can meet that budget, but we would have some limitations there. Option 2, we could go with a trailer, generator, 2 slide outs and a refrigerator. That puts me at $98,000. Or we can go with the trailer, the generator, the 2 slide outs, the refrigerator, furniture, built-in couches, tables, and chairs, and that would be $108. So to be safe, I'm just asking for $110. So those are the 3 options I have before you. Staff would recommend, of course, the $110, and that would give us the full package.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion to support one of those options?
Motion to approve option 3. This is Sonia Berg.
Second went.
We have a motion for option 3 by Alderman Berg, second by Alderman Wint. Is there any discussion on this motion? Alderman Waldron.
What's the status of our overall cures budget? Where are we at? What's left? What with option 3? How is this going to affect it?
I don't know if Carol is on, and hopefully you can hear me through this microphone. If Carol's on, her last report was we were at about, again, we've been authorized for $1.7 million through expenses incurred through the end of 12/31/2020. To date, we've accumulated records somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 to $600,000 worth of expenses. I think the $70,000 is in there, so that adds $30,000 to $40,000 to it. So that moves us maybe from $5.5 to $650,000 somewhere in there. Of the 1.7 we have eligible to us, and again, DCEO already signed off. We have to give them the specifics of all the things Chief just talked about tonight, but they said in concept it would be eligible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Williams.
Chief, how soon can you take possession of it?
Well, in a normal time frame, the bid was for 90 days. I don't know if we'll be in it at 90 days because of the supply and manufacturing, but we're going to push them for that. But it'll be contingent on their suppliers. They do make those in-house in Bellevue, Iowa. And so we'll be Captain Johnson will be going up there and visiting and monitoring the progress, but we told him we want it as soon as possible. But the RV industry is under a lot of stress.
Alderman Moyer?
And just to be clear, the sign off from the, on the Cures Act money, it wouldn't be restricted to it being delivered before December 31st? Or?
We would make a payment in 2020 and expend the money in 2020 to be compliant with Cures.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Wentz,
Aye.
Potter,
Nay.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
7 ayes, 1 nay.
Very enthusiastic.
It
Motion
is.
carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. The next item is the administrative update by Marty Vonnet.
Hello, good morning, or good, good evening.
Yes.
Cover off the whole day. I just had 2 items here. They have the, you should have gotten the overtime report in your packet. If you didn't, let me know. And then you probably were notified today, but I want to reiterate that the library will be holding Saturday hours starting November 7th. Those will be from 9 to 1 p.m. In addition, they're looking at a cleaning service to make sure that they're meeting the Department of Health and CDC guidelines on public places in regard to the COVID cleaning protocols so that they can stay open on Saturdays. So I think that's good news. That's all I have.
Thank you. Yes, Alderman Potter, do you have a question?
Yes. When we were going through your budget work session sheet, we seemed to skip through a bunch of things near the end there, and I'm just curious, on step 1, you had some additional things that were in there, like the police captain upgrade,
I'm going to
promotion.
address those later on.
Pardon me?
And I'm going to address those in the regular meeting and executive session.
Thank you very much.
Is there any public comment this evening? Hearing none, we are going to close out of this meeting and go into our council meeting. Will there be an invocation this evening, Alderman Berg?
There will be no invocation, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll begin then with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Alderman Williams,
Present.
Parker,
Present.
Wentz,
Present.
Potter,
Present.
Moyer,
Present.
Schoonmaker,
Present.
Waldron,
Present.
Berg. We have no consent agenda this evening. Non-consent agenda, Your Honor, I request approval of Committee of the Whole, Council and Closed Session Minutes of October 13th, 2020.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Parker, a second by Alderman Moyer. Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries.
Second reading ordinances. Council Bill 3032-2020, an ordinance amending Chapter 8, Buildings and Other Construction and Building Services, Section 8-2101, amendments to the Building Code, paragraphs W and X, and Chapter 25, Planning and Development, Section 25-4112.
Motion to approve 3032-2020, Parker.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Parker, a second by Alderman Moyer. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Potter.
Yes, Your Honor, the Historic Preservation Commission discussed this and the changes that were proposed, and we're particularly concerned, among other things, the timeframe for developing a list or whatever. We're heading into the winter months. We also have some people who may leave town, may be difficult for us. We also have some additional questions regarding the sunsetting of this and because of that, I make a motion to table this indefinitely.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Potter and a second by Alderman Waldron. Roll call, please. I don't think we discussed the table, do we? Yeah, roll call, please.
Sorry, I'm still getting this.
Sorry.
That's okay. Alderman Berg,
Nay.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Nay.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
6 ayes, 2 nays.
That motion carries. So the motion is tabled. The item is tabled. Thank you.
Resolutions. Council Bill 1108-2020, resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to an agreement with Miller Trucking and Excavating for leaf pickup services.
Motion to approve 1108-2020 Parker.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Parker, a second by Alderman Moyer. Is there any discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Nay.
7 ayes, 1 nay.
That motion carries.
Council Bill 1109-2020, resolution approving Executive Order 2020-10-26, granting 2 hours of paid leave to employees scheduled to work between 12 p.m. on October 26, 2020, and 7 p.m. on November 3, 2020, to facilitate voting and social distancing precautions.
Motion to approve 1109-2020 Parker.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Parker and a second by Alderman Moyer. Is there any discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries.
Council Bill 1110-2020, a resolution affirming the commitment of the mayor and city council to retaining current employees of the city as the mayor and city council pursue council goal number 6, review and evaluate alternative municipal service delivery approaches. And as the mayor and city council deal with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and other pressures on the municipal budget.
Motion to approve 1110-2020 Parker.
Second. Went.
We have a motion by Alderman Parker, a second by Alderman Nguyen. Is there any discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Went,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries.
And that is all I have this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you.
We'll now move into our miscellaneous business, and I will go around the council chamber and invite anyone to offer any business that they have. Alderman Williams?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Parker?
Yeah, just one thing, just want to encourage everyone who hasn't already to be sure and vote next week, and also express my appreciation for the paid leave for the employees to be able to vote for themselves or to to help out others in their household to be able to vote. I think it is one of the most important things we do as Americans. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Nguyen?
Well, I had 2 things, and Parker just took one of them. So yes, go out and vote, and staff as well. That's why we're doing this. We want to make sure that everybody does it and does it safe. And second, I am proud of this body for the last resolution that we passed, making our commitment to our employees that they have done such a great job making do with less resources. And we know that this is temporary and that we are doing our best to analyze things, move forward, and find a way that we can continue to give great services to our residents. but to make a commitment that we will retain all of our current employees is very important. No matter what some rumors may be being spread out there, we have a commitment to our employees, and we are going to stick with that. So thank them all for their great work and their stewardship of our residents' tax dollars.
Thank you, Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Potter?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Moyer?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Schoonmaker?
I would just emphasize Alderman Wendt and Alderman Parker's comments. Very well said. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Waldron?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Berg?
Mayor, the only thing I want to mention is that I needed to contact one of the employees today to get a response. Had I known they were on the call last weekend, they could have answered my question easily. So I addressed that with Marty today, and I was just sending you a reminder, Marty, that if we could have the employees log on in case we have questions for them, just to know who's in the room.
Alderman Berg, I think that Marty's going to respond, but if you look at the other people that are ID'd on the call, you can see their names now. Does that meet your expectations?
Yeah, I did. That's fine. I was just trying to flip through, and like I said, it's just the initials that we see rather than actually seeing who's on the call.
Oh, you can only see initials because we can see the names. Like it says Staff Fleming, Staff Lear, Staff Lodi.
Yeah, I can see those, but we can't see their face, but I have to flip through because you can only see 4 at a time or 5 at a time on our computers. We can't see the whole thing like you guys can see.
Okay. Thank you. We'll work on that. Oh, Marty?
We did send out an email today to staff, to directors, indicating that we'd like them to show their face, so to speak, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Berg, for sharing that concern. I do not have anything this evening. Does anyone on staff want to address the council this evening? Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to follow up on, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, I told you that the Moline Police Department was going to host a DEA drug prescription take-back event. It was held on Saturday while we were here working on budget. Officer Stephanie Genesio was at the police department greeting our citizens from Moline to drop off unwanted prescriptions. We collected 182 pounds of unwanted prescriptions that were properly disposed of by the Drug Enforcement Administration. So not only would I like to thank the citizens that turned those in, I'd like to reiterate how important that is for our community to keep those drugs off of our streets. As you all know, the opioid and drug epidemic rages on, just like COVID, but it's been going on for a long time. And it's important to get those used medications out of your grandma and grandpa's medicine cabinets or your own parents' medicine cabinets so that the little kids don't get them and they end up in the wrong hands and they end up on our streets or they're being sold and continue to perpetuate the drug problem. So 182 pounds is a couple of large Rottweilers. We actually filled up one of our old expeditions, the old white expedition that was the traffic expedition 380 that Alderman Williams probably remember. That thing was packed full of garbage bags of prescription pills that are off of our streets. So I want to report that back to you. Not only that, and thank the citizens that contributed to that.
Thank you to you and your team. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I had a resident who was disappointed because they missed that opportunity. What is your advice to residents that have prescription drugs? What's the best way to dispose them without going to one of your collection events?
I'd have to follow up with you on that. I think some drugstores will take them. Maybe Walgreens. I don't remember exactly. Depends on what they are. But we only do that, in coordinations with the DEA drug take back. But I'll check into that and send you an email.
Is that only annually?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, one
Alderman
thing you
Waldron?
should never do with these prescription drugs is send them down the drain. You never, ever flush them. So, because they pass right through the wastewater treatment plant, right out into the Mississippi or the Rock.
So I wonder if we could, maybe, Marty, would you mind figuring out what the options are for residents, maybe putting something on our website, just as a
We will.
friendly reminder of between the main pickups that this is a good alternative? Because we certainly don't want them to hold it for a year before we have a pickup either.
And I think the CVS on 41st takes as a receptacle. I could be wrong, but I think I dropped off some.
All right, let's check into
Yeah,
it and
we'll
figure
find
out
out.
what
Yep.
their options are so that we can share that with the community. Thank you so much, and thank Officer, I'm sorry, Stephanie.
Jeez, you.
Thank you. I just remember Stephanie. Okay, thank you very much. And now I'd like to open it up for public comment. And I think that there actually is a public comment that
I
was
do have
emailed
one,
in. I
Mayor.
don't see any public comment here in person.
And before I forget, I wanted to remind everyone, there is no council meeting next Tuesday. We'll meet again November 10th.
Thank you.
So we do have public comment from Graham Jewell, who is president of Moline's Public Employee Union, AFSCME Local 1132. Mr. Jewell states, "I'm concerned that with all the talk with revenue shortfalls the budget supposedly has, that we are contracting out our work at such a great expense. It started with a contracting public restroom cleaning at a cost of around $12,000 per month, and at a very low quality of product. Then it was storm cleanup around $11,000 for one work week to supply an excavator and dump truck, which we had readily available for pennies on the dollar of that cost. Those two costs alone could have paid for a couple entry-level employee positions for the entire year. Now we're contracting leaf collection. We will pay hundreds of thousands of dollars over the current cost of us doing it in-house. The entire seasonal employee team could have been hired at, again, a small pennies on the dollar amount. For a city with revenue issues, I don't understand why we would pay double the labor cost for only 1/3 of the city's leaf collection. I have multiple times let it be known that we would gladly reach an agreement with a little promise of job security to allow seasonal employees to be hired. When I reached out to multiple city council members months ago, when we noticed a decline in services, which bothers us tremendously, to talk about alternatives and what we could work on together to achieve a common goal, I got no response from anyone. I am starting to think this isn't about money. I have seen the hourly rate for employees pay on the contractor side. All of the city's employees are a minimum of $5 an hour cheaper. The total package rate of the contractor's employees are much higher than ours. We could have funded full-time employees year-round to do a variety of work for this amount of money and hired seasonals. Miller's labor alone for 6 weeks is around $230,000 for 1/3 of the city to be done. Our in-house labor, including seasonals, is about $275,000 for the entire season and for all of the city. I don't understand that if this is all about saving money while still providing quality services, that you wouldn't respond or take any input from the workers in the union that represents them. We could have had seasonal employees and maintained the city all along instead of having to cut services and barely get by on the services we still provided. I think the public needs to know the money is being spent, and that the services could have been provided at a normal level all year long for the same or less amount of money. Historically, the AFSCME union has always worked with the city to provide high-quality, low-price services to the citizens. That is our number one priority and always has been. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you, Mayor.
Dirk, do you have a comment this evening?
I do want to comment on this. First of all, I want everybody to understand, we're at the bargaining table right now with AFSCME, and Mr. Jewell is leading on behalf of the employees. So he's not a disinterested third-party reporting here. Moreover, the hourly here is not a fair comparison to what we just approved in this contract. His hourly analysis doesn't have benefits, workers' comp, and all the other costs that are not apparent that go with 11 full-time employees and 12 seasonals that he would demand. He grieved the storm cleanup. So while he says he's open to this, officially their formal position of the union is a grievance on this. So that's the formal official position. He may have talked to Marty about it, but their official position is something different. Moreover, the western third that Miller is doing is the 3 crew, not the other 2, it's not equivalent to the other 2/3, each of which is manned only by 2 crews. And finally, this is the same person who on March 31st said in the paper that doing groundskeeping and caring for the parks is not essential, not important, and they shouldn't have been doing it and should have been sent home with pay. It's March 31st, the QC Times, you can look it up, it's him saying it. He also said that filling potholes was not an essential function of their workers, and they shouldn't be doing it. They should be home with pay. So this is a guy who now says he'd do all this cheaper for money after telling the world that you, the city council, didn't care enough to protect them and send them home with pay. I don't know which way he wants it, but it's not that. We're trying to do this so that these people are recognized for doing their essential work. We ask them to work and do it. You've managed the rest of it, and now we've got backup in case people aren't able to fulfill the job or get sick, and we also have the way to fill in the necessary labor. So while we're at the bargaining table, this public comment is his right to do it, and he's entitled to his opinion. He's not entitled to his own facts.
Are there any other public comments? Alderman Nguyen, did you have a comment? You are on mute.
Oh, yeah, Your Honor. Just for clarification, because I was always told, and granted it was with our last attorney, that especially while we are negotiating, that we are prohibited from speaking with the union leadership during this period of time, because it would be could be considered unfair labor practices and those sorts of things. Dirk, can you clarify that, because I am one of the people, I did get an email from him sometime in August, but did not respond because it was my understanding that could be a violation. And so if you could address that, that'd be great.
Right, that is the prudent advice, and that is appropriate for all of the aldermen and the mayor not to respond to those kinds of issues, but to do it through the bargaining representatives. Marty's going to have a relationship with Graham because employee and the city administrator, and that's going to happen. But that's the correct thing. The council and the mayor are not supposed to be corresponding about those work issues for precisely that reason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that guidance, Dirk. Is there anything else this evening, such as an executive session? Alderman Williams.
Your Honor, I make a motion that the council convene an executive session for the purpose of discussion of collective negotiating matters 5 ILCS 122C2 and employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees 5 ILCS 122C1.
Second, Parker.
We have a motion by Alderman Williams and a second by Alderman Parker. Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Went.
Aye.
Potter.
Aye.
Moyer.
Aye.
Schoonmaker.
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
Motion carries. We'll now convene an executive session. Could we please clear the council chambers and clear the call? So we have a couple of things in open session to take care of. Carol, I'd like to give you the floor to make your request regarding your assistant finance director position.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like consideration of the council to consider hiring a full-time assistant finance director and offering a salary at $105,000 with an 80 hours vacation bank and an 80-hour sick leave bank.
Thank you, Carol. And just
So
a
moved,
reminder,
Parker.
we've got a motion by Alderman Parker, and we have a second by Alderman Moyer. And just a reminder to council, we already have authorized the $105,000 and the position being filled. So this is just a slight modification of what would be the base offer with the additional sick leave and vacation. Is there any discussion on this item? On this item, if approved this evening, will be brought back at our next meeting for ratification. Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Went.
Aye.
Potter.
Nay.
Moyer.
Aye.
Schoonmaker.
Aye.
Waldron.
Nay.
6 ayes, 2 nays.
That motion carries. Thank you, Carol. Marty, I think that you have a couple of requests of the council to fill positions.
Yeah, I didn't grab my notes. So the first one would be to,
The community and economic.
sorry. So we want to fill the Director of Community and Economic Development position. So,
Yep.
yes.
So you're
and-
making that request, let's handle that one separately. So you'd like to proceed with filling that, and you would fill that internally, or you'd fill it externally? How are you going to address?
It'll be open to both internal and external candidates, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there a motion to support that
Motion to
request?
approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Potter, a second by Alderman Waldron. Is there any discussion on that consideration? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Wentz,
Absolutely.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries.
The second would be to start and proceed filling the position of Director of Engineering, City Engineer.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Potter, a second by Alderman Waldron. Your plans for filling that position are what?
Internal and external.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berg,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Wentz,
Aye.
Potter,
Aye.
Moyer,
Aye.
Schoonmaker,
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. So what we'll see is the advertising of those two positions to come out in the next couple of weeks before we're able to meet again and ratify it, but we'll
I'll
proceed
give
with
you an
that.
update on the first process and procedures.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Is there any other business in open session this evening? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.